Next slide, no? Ach- Hello, good morning, and let's come to the very important topic, that is pancreas. Today we're going to discuss about its anatomy, its embryology, its congenital anomalies, and its tumors. And the next week I'm going to talk about the great acute pancreatitis and chronic pancreatitis. Sorry about this spelling. That is a Spanish spelling from where the presentation I got it. So, what is anatomy of the pancreas and its congenital anomalies? Now, you can see there's a head, neck, body, and tail, and there's a duct which is pancreatic duct. Now, there's a common bile duct and accessory pancreatic duct. Now, what are the objectives of this lecture? The of this lecture is to explain about the anatomy of the pancreas, its blood supply, lymphatic drainage, innervations, duct system, embryology, histology, its exocrine part, endocrine part. To explain about the congenital anomalies, well, they could be number one, it could be pancreatic agenesis, where the pancreas doesn't develop. Pancreativism, which divides. Annular pancreas, ectopic pancreas, so it can be any other site rather than its normal location, and congenital cysts. Well, the anatomy of the pancreas consists of this gross and histology. Gross, I can show you. There's a common bile duct and the other ducts. Now, what is the gross anatomy of the pancreas? A gland with both exocrine and endocrine functions, 15 to 25 centimeter long. It weighs about 60 to 100 gram. Its, its location is a retroperitoneum at second lumbar vertebral level. While it extends in oblique and transverse directions, you can see in the diagram, it could show that there's a head, neck, body, and tail, and UN is the uncinate process. Anatomical wise, grossly, you can see that's the liver, there's a spleen, and behind the stomach is the pancreas. So it's very difficult to locate when you're doing surgery. So doing a pancreatic surgery is not the easy surgeon's job, I will tell you. Now, what is the blood supply? That is very much important. From where it does get its blood supply, it's mainly from two sources. One is the splenic artery, second in pancreato-jejunal arteries. Its venous drainage gets into suprapancreatic vein, retropancreatic vein, splenic vein, infrapancreatic into superior mesenteric vein, which ultimately drains into portal vein. The PV suggests for portal vein. Its nerve supply is, it's got sympathetic and parasympathetic. The sympathetic from the splenic nerves, the parasympathetic is from the vagus nerve. Well, it's very important to understand the duct of the pancreas. Okay. Well, there are main ductal system of the pancreas. You can see the common bile duct. You can the ascending pancreatic duct, the what we call it in Spanish, the duct of Santoroni. There's a major papilla, minor papilla, that is sphincter of Oddi, ampulla of Vetter, the main pancreatic duct, the main pancreatic duct of Wisrung. The pancreatic duct begins in the tail of the pancreas, joins the common bile duct at the ampulla of Vetter. It's 2 to 4 millimeters in diameter, 20 secondary branches. The lesser duct of Santoroni drains superior portion of the head and empties separately into second portion of the duodenum. Well, lymphatic drainage has rich periacinar networks that drain into 5 nodal groups. As you can see in the picture, it drains into superior nodes, the interior nodes, the inferior nodes, posterior nodes, and the splenic nodes. Now, what is the histology of the pancreas? You can see the exocrine part, Uh, you can see the duct, and you can see the pancreatic acini with ductal system. They produce digestive enzymes, amylase, trypsin, lipase. The trypsin acts on proteins, the amylase acts on carbohydrates, and lipase acts on fats and alkaline fluid. It's endocrine parts, that's the exocrine part, which secretes the enzyme and helps us in the digestion. The endocrine parts contain the islet of Langerhans, the pancreatids, which are the regulator of glucose, lipid, and protein homeostasis. So, what does the islet of Langerhans do? The islet of Langerhans have got beta cell, alpha cell, and gamma cells. The beta cells are central, produce insulin. The alpha cells produce glucagon, and the gamma cells peripheral produce somatostatin. Okay. What now comes the question: what is the normal embryology of the pancreas? The opening of the ducts carried into a line with each other. Two parts of the gland fuse to form one pancreas. That you see that in the picture, how it shows it. There's a dorsal pancreatic duct, becomes the accessory pancreatic duct. Duct of ventral bed forms the main pancreatic duct, and terminal parts of branching ducts from pancreatic acini. Well, this is normal embryology of the pancreas. You can easily see in the books. Now comes the what's are the congenital anomalies or the congenital diseases of the pancreas. One first is the agenesis, which has got the very highest mortality rate. Pancreatinism, that is most common. Then are the annular pancreas, ectopic pancreas, and the congenital cysts. What is agenesis? How do you define pancreatic agenesis? That is absence of a critical mass of pancreatic tissue. On rare cases, it's totally absent. Now you can see I've shown the picture of a CAT scan on your right hand side, which shows that pancreas with absent body and tail. Its cause is genetic mutation of PDX1 gene located in the chromosomal locus. Normal pancreatic development requires pancreatic jejunal homobox 1 homoserine transcription factor. Severity depends on the amount of functional pancreatic tissue present. What are the associated disease with pancreatic agenesis? There is the pancreatobiliary duct anomalies can lead to acute or chronic pancreatitis, which leads to abdominal pain, diabetes, dorsal pancreas agenesis because no insulin will be secreted, lipid stool caused by a defective pancreatic enzyme. What are the investigations we can do? We can do abdominal scan or the ultrasound, and the CAT scan will do the job. How do we manage it? Treatment of the diabetes and exocrine deficiency when present, infusion of the subcutaneous insulin, administration of pancreatic enzyme. Now, prognosis, it's variable depending on the quality of the treatment received. The next disease which comes up is, I'm just giving you the idea of the congenital anomalies. Sometimes they're asked in the MCQs. So better you should know a bit of all of them. Pancreatic divism. The duct system of the fatal pancreatic primordia failed to fuse. The most common is the birth defect. The cause of the defect is unknown. Many cases go undetected. The virtual bud failed to fuse with dorsal bud during fetal development as shown in the picture. What are the clinical features? It lands up with abdominal pain, swelling, nausea, or vomiting. Symptoms absent without pancreatitis. Same examination tests. You go for abdominal scan or ultrasound, CAT scan, amylase or lipase blood test. There's a treatment is surgery. Complication is pancreatitis, can be acute, can be chronic. The outcome is usually good. Now, the third one comes, what is annular pancreas? It's a ring of pancreatic tissue that completely encircles the duodenum as shown in the picture. That it's It rings around the jejunum pathogen may occur at the ventral body splits become bifid. The two segments may encircle jejunum. Now, what are symptoms? In the newborns, is spit up more than normal. Do not drink enough milk. That's what the warning sign is. In the adult, it is fullness after eating, nausea, or vomiting. Symptoms occur when the ring of pancreas squeezes and narrows the small intestine. Conditions that may be associated with annular pancreas include there could be with the Down syndrome, excess immunogenic fluid during pregnancy, which we call it polyhydramnios, other congenital and GIT problems, peritonitis. Now, what kind of the investigations we're going to do? Everything: abdominal ultrasound scan, abdominal X-ray. Well, treatment is surgical bypass of the block part of the jejunum. It has a good outcome with the surgery during the prognosis. Its complications can be obstructive jaundice, it can be pancreatic cancer, it can be peptic ulcer, and perforation, tearing a hole of the intestine due to obstruction. Ectopic pancreas, also known as heterotropic pancreatic tissue. It's a condition where a pancreatic tissue lies outside and separate to pancreatic gland. And this is usually an asymptomatic disease. Its common site, the most probably where it is located, is jejunum, ileum, and the very lovingly Mickel's diverticulum. Ectopic pancreas has got symptoms like usually non-specific abdominal pain and dyspepsia. The diagnosis comes under OGD or upper GI endoscopy. The complications are it can lead to intestinal obstruction, carcinoma of the ectopic pancreatic tissue, treatment, surgery if symptomatic, otherwise leave as it is. And what are the congenital cysts? Well, usually we come across as the complication of sometimes an acute pancreatitis like the pseudopancreatic cyst and things like that, but these are the congenital cysts. How do they form? The results from the anomalous development of the pancreatic ducts. Well, morphologically, they are the unilocular cysts range from 5 centimeter in diameter, lined by either uniform, cuboidal, or flattened epithelium, and are enclosed in a thin fibrous capsule. It contains clear serous fluid, important find for pancreatic cystic neoplasm, which is mucinous. Now, these are the congenital cysts, which you can see. What are symptoms? There's usually abdominal swelling. There's a palpable mass. Patient might vomit. Well, ultrasound scan will do the job. The management is surgery. Now, in the summary, I've made the summary of the congenital disease, and I will say that there are 5 congenital diseases. It could be agenesis, pancreatic divisum, annular pancreas, ectopic pancreas, and congenital cysts. The most common is pancreatic divisum. Well, pancreatic agenesis is the highest mortality rate. All treatments are via surgery except in agenesis, where infusion of insulin and other pancreatic secretion of component is needed. Polyhydramnios can occur in annular pancreatic cancer. Cancer most commonly occurs in the head of the pancreas. Well, these are the sometimes the references I have taken from the test book of Robinow's pathology and test book of Gray's anatomy. Now we come to the very important topic, that is pancreatic cancer. So in the overview, what we will do with the epidemiology, risk factors, pathology, its presentation, its surgical treatment, its adjuvant therapy, and the treatment of metastatic diseases. Now, just for a kind of view, the data is not available in our country, so I have taken it from the great United States of America. That shows that it is the 10th most common case, comprising about 2% about the oral cavity and 2% of all the cancers that the study they have conducted in the US. And estimated cancer deaths are about 6%, as shown in the picture, followed by 9% of colon and rectum and pancreas and leukemia. After colon and rectum, which is the most common cancer that you get all over the world, well, I would say that this data is of United States rather than our country. Now, this is the distribution of pancreatic cancer diagnosis. How do we get the cases? Well, this is the prognosis of what we got it in America is that locally unresectable cases are about 15% that we get. Borderline resectable or unlikely to be resected are about 20% of the cases. Resectable with nodal involvement 12%, resectable with no nodal involvement is 3%. Now, by the time more than 50% of the patients, when they reach to us, they are in an advanced stage of metastatic cancer. So we have to go only the chemotherapy, and the mortality is really high. Now, as we all understand, there are two functions of the pancreas. One is the endocrine part, one is the exocrine part. The exocrine part, as I told you, that produce enzymes, like I told you, amylase exon starch converts them into maltose, the protease and lipase. The endocrine parts are the chemical hormones that regule blood sugar through insulin and glucagon, somatostatin, and pancreatic polypeptide. And what are the risk factors? The bloody first risk factor is generally smoking. That's a risk factor of every cancer we get. Second is age. Greater the age, more is the danger. Obesity, what every Pakistani has. We eat a lot, get to the obesity, and fall for the things. Diet, high fat, low fiber, like the Western people have a high fat diet. The chronic pancreatitis can lead to the pancreatic cancer. Family history, like we always say that in breast cancer that the BRCA1, BRCA2 is responsible. Well, here is the BRCA2 and naphthalmine. Now, what are the types of pancreatic cancer? That is divides into exocrine cancer and the endocrine cancer. The exocrine is ampullary cancer, the adenosquamous carcinoma, the squamous cell carcinoma, signet ring cell carcinoma, and pancreatoblastoma. Well, endocrine, I would say there are neuroendocrine cancers like it can be insulinoma, glucagonoma, and gastrinoma. Now, as we all say, the pancreatic cancer is one of the deadliest cancer because it spreads rapidly and is seldom detected early. As I told you earlier, that the 50% we get in a highly metastatic stage. Now, what are the characteristics of this cancer? Only minor symptoms are experienced until the cancer is advanced in its stage. Very hard to treat. More men develop the disease than women. And I told you as survival rate is only 3 to 6%. That now what are going to be the main symptoms is upper abdominal pain that you get in every attack of abdominal pain. That's why this cancer is very misleading. You're going to suspect a person with a gallbladder disease or CBG stone as is a presence with jaundice, obstructive jaundice, weight loss, nausea, itching of skin and all that. And by the time you do the scan, you go for CAT scan and you come with a C of the pancreas. So very misleading. The signs and symptoms of pancreatic cancer, I would say same thing. Obstructive jaundice, dark urine, pale stool, pruritus, pain on the back, epigastric pain, vomiting, weight loss, anorexia, Haematous and melena are very last factors. Symptoms, there could be jaundice, coaxia, anemia, there could be epigastric mass, but remember, this is a very late presentation. Papal gallbladder, Cosway's sign or Cosway's law, you all should remember it. So, what are the two largest lesions for early detection? Or we call about the earliest stage of pancreatic cancer. Let's take a pre-symptomatic stage 1. Challenges are that no affected population screening tool, as we do in breast cancer, may appear as small nodule or cyst on imaging. Current tests are inaccurate and potentially dangerous. You can see in the picture there could be pseudocyst, there could be intraductal papillary mucinous neoplasm, or heliocystinoma, mucocystinoma, cystic alexial tumor, intraductal papillary mucinous neoplasm, and papillary cystic tumor. While pancreatic cancers can be cystic lesion, as I told you and I've shown in the picture, there could be cystic lesion challenges, most incidentally found, as I said, you do a CT scan for the gallbladder, gallstones, stone on the CDB, and obstructive jaundice, and it's most incidentally found. Most do not progress, they don't progress. Unclear diagnosis and treatment management. That's what the usually picture is. Now, when we do the staging, we always call about the TNM classification. Now, it's evident from the slide that I've shown you. Stage 1A tumor is less than 2 centimeter, is confined to pancreas only. There's no lymph node involvement, no distant side. T2 greater than 2 centimeter in pancreas only. Mind that 1A, 1B are limited to the pancreas only. There's no lymph node involvement, no metastasis. Now, 2A guess the tumor progresses outside pancreas but not involving the celiac axis or superior mesenteric artery. It means that the venous and the arterial supply is saved or it's spared. There's no lymph node involvement and no distant metastasis M0. Now, 2B, we call it, it can be T1, T2, T3. Tumor can be less than centimeter or greater than 2 centimeter, but there is a regional lymph node involvement with no metastasis. Now, stage 3 or the T4 comes, the tumor gets to celiac axis or it invades the blood supply as superior mesenteric artery. Well, the stage 4 is दवा से ज़्यादा दुआ की ज़रूरत है. NET, the tumor invades a lot. Lymph nodes, you get nodes everywhere. Metastasis, you just open the abdomen and just see there's Mohenjo-daro. Well, TNM classification goes about where we could do a clinical resection and where we cannot do a surgical resection. In terms of treatment, while TIS, carcinoma in situ with no nodal involvement, no metastasis, it's resectable. T1, N0, M0, resectable. Median survival months, let's say 2 years. But usually, in my experience, what the cases you get is 1B and 2A, and in which we do a very good surgery. We do a Whipple's procedure. It's a heroic surgery. Everybody says that. Anybody does that. It's a great surgeon. But the survival rate comes about less than 2 years. 2B, it's a locally advanced, potentially resectable, but the patient won't survive more than 12 months. Rather than less than that, I won't go for surgery. They say it's locally advanced and resectable, 10-month survival rate. T1, T2, 3, T4, people do go for surgery, but not here. Now, there's a scheme that when you suspect a pancreatic cancer, when you suspect it, there's a pancreatic protocol of CAT scanning and MRI. Well, you can divide into two. You find a lesion in the pancreas, you don't find a lesion in the pancreas. You find a lesion in the pancreas, then you could decide whether it's metastatic or non-metastatic. If it's a metastatic, biopsy confirmation of the metastatic disease will show that patient has it. If there are metastasis, there's a multidisciplinary review. You can go for endoscopy, ultrasonography, liver function test, chest imaging. No lesion in the pancreas, metastatic and non. If it is metastatic, biopsy confirmation, same endoscopic ultrasonography. If there's no metastatic disease, you can do a LFT, liver function test. You can do a chest scanning, endoscopic ultrasonography, MRI. You can do MRCP, magnetic retrograde pancreatic cholangiography, or ERCP, endoscopic retrograde pancreatic cholangiography, but there's a lot to it which we do. Now, what is the performance? Well, this is rather a genetic, just see it, have it, no need to remember it. That's what I never understood yet. A tumor of head and neck of pancreas or other unknown pancreatic site. Well, you can do a biliary bypass surgery, including 36 nodes, initial treatment, palliative treatment, 147 tumor body, 29 local invasion. These are all Americans things I will tell you, but they are no need to be remembered. Now let's see where the metastasis take place. It can deposit into the liver as a pretty common site. It can go to peritoneum. It can get to lung. It can go to adrenals. It can to bone. Very rarely it gets to CNS. Pancreatic epithelial malignancies. Now, what kind of malignancy and what kind of tumor it is? If it is malignant, it is usually ductal adenocarcinoma that we call it, that we get in majority of the cases. Second is mucinous cystoadenocarcinoma, acinyl cell carcinoma, small cell carcinoma. Well, uncertain malignant potential, you have got mucinous cystoadenoma, solid and cystic papillary neoplasms. Well, this is the picture of the sliding picture of histological picture, what you call it, of ductal adenocarcinoma. There's a nuclear atypical cells. There's a significant fibrosis. Now, treatment approach occurs whether it's a resectable disease or not. Usually stage 1 and 2, we say that it's 20% resectable. So adjuvant chemotherapy and adjuvant radiation can be given after the surgery. Patient workup, do a biphasic CAT scan. You can do the endoscopic retrograde pancreatic cholangiography. With the stunt, you can do and not do the biopsy. You can positron emission tomography scan for possible resection, whether the tumor is resectable or not. What about the surgical resectability? If there's no evidence of extrapancreatic disease, liver, retroperitoneum, peritoneal disease, no evidence of superior mesenteric artery, hepatic or celiac enhancement greater than 1 degrees, fewer than 20% are surgical candidates. Rather than you get the patient, it's unresectable. Goal is R resection, R2 R resection have outcomes similar to unresectable non-metastatic disease. So operative mortality is associated with high volume centers. Remember, pancreatic surgery is not a joke. The Whipple procedure, we all love to do. Every surgeon would love to do. It's got 3 anastomosis, do this and that, heroic procedure. Everybody wants to do in their career, but the outcome is really low. This is the effect of hospital volume. You do a mortality of pancreatitis. Now, treatment approach. If it's an inoperable disease, local at the advanced stage 3, 30 to 40%, massive stage 40 to 50, in that you can go for chemoradiation, chemotherapy, or you can make the patient's life easy by chemotherapy and supportive care. Post-surgical therapy. No standard care for adjuvant therapy is yet to be known for pancreatic cancer. Well, European standard says that chemotherapy alone. US standard says that American people go very high, as you know that. They always go for chemoradiotherapy. Now, what are the study endpoints? Intergroup phase 3 adjuvant study says that the primary goal is to overall survival. Patient with pancreatic head tumors, all patients. Secondary could be disease-free survival, toxicity, postoperatively. This is a gene you can collect to CA192 outcome of the disease. Now, palliation of pancreatic cancer. Now, I always say that palliative care is usually the care we offer to a lot of cancer patients. Palliation of pancreatic cancer is pain management. We can do a nerve block. For obstructive jaundice, we can do a percutaneous drain. We can do internal stenting through a ERCP. Metal versus plastic stents, there's a big question to that. There could be a thromboembolism up to 20% of the cases. There could be depression. There could be fatigue, anorexia, and weight loss. Thank you. That ends the lecture. Unmute, Karis. If you have any questions, please let me know, beta. I've unmuted it. If you have any question, please let me know, beta. Hey girls, please unmute yourself and just rather than tell me. Yes, beta. If you have any questions, beta.
No, sir, no question.
Well, you all have no questions. It means you might have understood everything or you might not have understood anything. Okay, well, I will share the PPTs on the group. You send me any number, or I could, if I have somebody's number, I will just send it to that, and they can share these slides with you. And next week we are going to start with one of my favorite topic, which made me pass my MRC, is acute pancreatitis and chronic pancreatitis. See you then. Good luck. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.